So the predictable thing happened, yet it was the thing I was absolutely sure wasn't going to happen. Cody Rhodes is going to the Elimination Chamber. Also, I'm now very interested in what they're doing with the SmackDown Women's Division. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean, and these are my assorted thoughts on the February 13th, 2026 WWE Smackdown. That's the Friday the 13th episode, the go home for Valentine's Day, I guess. So, anyways, I'm recording this Monday the 16th, early afternoon, so before Raw. Not sure when this is going to come out. I guess let's focus on the main event. It was the triple threat match. Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn for a spot in Elimination Chamber. I really liked how we set up Jacob in his promo, basically saying he belongs in the Elimination Chamber because he has experience behind bars. They're really hyping that. And I was thinking like, okay, you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense. I actually do want to see Jacob Fatu in the Elimination Chamber. Of course, cheering for Sami Zayn always. And the one I thought wasn't going to make it except through shenanigans. They set up some potential shenanigans with Drew giving Sami sort of his blessing. I was like, oh, great. Drew's going to cheat for Sami, and that's how Sami's going to get to it. And, of course, Cody shouted out streamers, which is great. And they're in Dallas, Texas. So he said Von Erich country, good babyface promo, QB1 promo. And like, okay, are they going to give it to Cody? What happened? So, yeah, the match starts. A very good match. A lot of back and forth. Everyone looked really strong. I mean, Sami had his hope spots. Cody had his hope spots. Jacob had his hope spots. And honestly, like they all looked legitimate like main event contenders, which is good. I'm good that there was no presentation of anyone being that weak. And then of course Jacob was going to win the match, but then Drew comes in, takes out Jacob through the announce table, takes out Cody with a Claymore, and rolls Sami on top of him, walks away 1-2, but Cody kicks out. So Drew comes back, shocked, starts beating on Cody. And then Sami wakes up, gives a haluva kick to Drew, and I guess the good babyface thing, he doesn't want to win with Drew's help, but then Cody takes advantage. Crossroads, 1, 2, 3. Cody's going to Elimination Chamber. So Drew essentially tried to screw over both Cody and Jacob, and in the process ended up screwing over Jacob and causing Cody to advance to Elimination Chamber. Because without the interference, I'm pretty sure Jacob would have won. Now, I'm going to talk about big Sami Zayn booster. I'm going to talk about what I think about Sami. Okay, so I just did a whole bit on Sami Zayn, which I believe is going to be clipped out of this video and shared as its own video. But to sum up this match, what's next for Cody? I think, as I mentioned sort of in that video, maybe Cody wins Elimination Chamber. I hope it's not Cody and Drew because that's not really that exciting a match. Jacob did get screwed over. Maybe Jacob gets a match against Cody or against Drew for the championship on SmackDown and wins it. And we got Cody and Jacob at WrestleMania. Regardless, the Night 2 main event is clearly going to be Punk and Roman. And I don't think Undisputed WWE Championship is going to be featured in the main event of Night 1. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a women's match. In fact, I was hoping it was going to be the Women's Tag Team Championship match, maybe a TLC match. Now, for that to main event, the only way that works, or for the women's tag team titles to main event at all, it requires the presence of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, either as the champions or in the match. Now, Rhea and Io did have a title match here against Lash Legend and Nia Jax. It was actually a really good match, a really heated match until it wasn't. There was a DQ finish. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like sporadic when referees decide to throw something out, but the referee threw the match out, I guess by count out. I think it was a count out loss. I'm not sure. It was just, I mean, yeah, they were fighting on the outside, but I don't think it was a DQ. I think it was a count out. But then backstage, they had a segment later in the show with Rhea and Io talking to Julia and Kiana James. And then we had Jade Cargill walk by. And they had the stare down between Rhea and Jade. And we also had Io sort of suggesting she might go after the women's championship, the U.S. Women's Championship. What this is telling me is that maybe they were planning, I think they were planning on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania, but it doesn't look like Bianca Belair is going to be back. So, or maybe she's not going to be back in time. I think she's just having her surgery. She had like tweeted something like today, but their backup might be Jade versus Rhea, which is a really good match. But that would require Rhea not to be in the women's tag team title match. And so her and Io lose the belts. Then what do they do with Io? Well, Io fights Julia. Those are both very good matches, but they are backups. I think the original plan is to have Rhea and Io in a main event women's tag team title match, but that might not happen. So we might go the other direction. And the reason Julia was upset was because she was in a triple threat match for the Women's Elimination Chamber, a qualifier match, against Zelina and Alexa Bliss. Now, I knew Zelina wasn't going to win. I figured she was going to take the pin. I was thinking Julia might get into the chamber, but I was still my main pick was Alexa Bliss, and she's the one who won. There was a lot of back and forth, really good, like Code Red into Rivederci knee into Twisted Bliss, or I think it was eventually an Abigail DDT that Alexa won the match with. Actually, it was into another DDT. Regardless, a lot of back and forth. Everyone looked good, but eventually Alexa did get the pin on Zelina. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, maybe the fact that Charlotte's at ringside, this will cause some tension between them. But no, Charlotte had her back. And there was a funny segment with Charlotte saying, Valentine's Day, here's your present, the picture of me. Good stuff. I don't think Alexa's going to win the Elimination Chamber. I'm glad she's in it. But I'm pretty sure even if Rhea and Io aren't the champion, there's still going to be a big women's tag team match at Mania. And I'm pretty sure Alexa and Charlotte are going to be in that. I'm thinking more and more that Rhea might win the Elimination Chamber, the women's chamber match, because I'm pretty sure that the other person in there, Tiffany Stratton's not going to win. She did start off the show. That was kind of just a weird way to start off the show to set up the first match, because she wasn't even in the first match, and they were threatening her versus Nia again. Like, no, nobody wants to see that. We saw that for a year. It was fine, but it's done. But I was more interested in Tiffany's backstage segment, running into Chelsea Green with she broke her ankle, so her ankle's in a cast and she's in a chair. It's an FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt style, a coded image of her in that chair being pushed by Alba Fire. I think it's great. Going with the presidential thing, I figured it was going to be an FDR style thing. I don't think anyone picked up on it, but that's clearly how that's coded. But her interaction, if Chelsea is ready for Mania, I think Chelsea might get on Mania in a match with Tiffany Stratton. I think that's perfect. It's an interesting mix because Stratton's someone who was basically coded as a perfect heel, but just got so popular they had to make her babyface, and she's still popular. But we also have Chelsea, who's definitely a heel, got the character, but the audience loves her too much, but they haven't pulled the plug and made her a babyface. Maybe putting her against Tiffany not only gets her on the Mania card, brings her to another level, but also Tiffany is very popular and very good in the ring, so I could definitely see Chelsea actually being the heel here, and they can maybe have some good promos going back and forth. I'm really hoping for that. As for the actual women's championship, well, there was the WWE Women's Championship match. Jade Cargill in her first defense since like November 1st, when she won the title, at least first televised defense, defending against Jordynne Grace. But of course, the people who got the biggest pops were Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Yeah. That's another reason why maybe if you can't get Bianca, you might have to go with Rhea, because obviously Jade and Jordynne are not as popular as Liv Morgan. In fact, when the match started, there were dirty Dom chants, and that's not what they want. I'm sure Liv Morgan's going to pick Stephanie Vaquer, but I think this was a test. This proves that Liv Morgan is a way bigger star than both Jordynne or Jade even, and Dom is even bigger. But when it was with Stephanie, there was the respect. The crowd were booing and cheering, but here they were just, I guess they just loved the comedy bit. There was a funny bit I loved Wade Barrett calling them chicken nougets for their Valentine's dinner at the ringside. I mean, that was just tacky, but I think that just proved to WWE that no, these two are Jordan and Jade are not that over. No, the match itself was really good, really hard hitting, and really two power women, which is I think Jade needs a power woman to go against, which is again, if you can't get Bianca, they're probably going to go with Rhea. But it's because actually it was a really, I mean, Jade ended up winning, but it was like there was a lot, it was tough, and Jordan looked very strong in this match, and Jade looked very strong in this match. But of course, the attention was focused on Liv and Dom because they're the bigger stars. Switching gears, we did have Trick Williams versus Rey Fenix. Now, before the match, Trick cut a promo on Sami Zayn. I'm not too thrilled with the prospect of the two of them at WrestleMania. I talk about it in my Sami Zayn video, but basically Trick is a really cool heel right now, and that's not the kind of person that Sami Zayn should be fighting unless it's in Montreal and the cool heels like Roman Reigns. But anyway, enough of that. Trick looked great in this match. Rey Fenix did too. There was some back and forth. They both looked very strong. There was a double knee from Phoenix that almost won it, but eventually it turned into a Trick shot. Trick is really over with the crowd as a heel. I mean, people do still boo him as a heel when he's in the ring, but they whoop that Trick. I guess it depends on who he's facing, but Trick Williams is definitely going far. Where I hope Trick Williams goes at WrestleMania is rekindling an NXT feud that apparently was very hot, but I never got a chance. I never saw because I never watched NXT. Would be going for the United States Championship against Carmelo Hayes. I think people are kind of, thinking that's going to happen. Carmelo is a babyface now. Trick is a heel. Speaking of Melo, we didn't have the non-open challenge, but U.S. match against Ilya Dragunov. Instead, we got a 5-man match. Now, I think, so I took notes on this one. Let's see if it was a couple of days ago. Let's see if I remember who was in it. Yeah, I took notes on this. It was Melo and Ilya Dragunov, along with Matt Cardona, Apollo Crews. Welcome back. I did see Apollo Crews in a dark match against Kit Wilson, but that's a whole other story in Montreal. And Shinsuke Nakamura versus the MFTs. And yes, all of the MFTs. This was good. They got all 5 MFTs in the match. I like the way they're bringing Cardona and I guess Apollo Crews back. SmackDown's 3 hours, so they're filling out the mid-card division, and this is a good way to use the MFTs. This was a good match. I'm not so thrilled about Tama Tonga pinning the U.S. champion because Tama Tonga can go for the U.S. championship just by answering the open challenge. Maybe they're trying to maybe cause some tension with the MFTs with Solo, but I did enjoy this match. And of course, they're not done with the Wyatts because the Wyatts came in at the end. You see them up there, and they put an image on Solo Sikoa's door. That was a good little thing when Solo and the MFTs were walking by some of the rest of the tag team scene. I'm liking this use of the MFTs better than them against the Wyatts, but of course the Wyatts are still there, and we got to find something else for the Wyatts to do. I don't know what they're doing with Johnny Gargano. That's probably going to come back into the ring at some point. But of course, we had Obafemi backstage. I think he might end up going to SmackDown. And but before that, we had Kit Wilson doing a poem to R-Truth and Damian Priest, and we had Truth giving poetry back. And I was excited. I was like, you know what? Kit Wilson, R-Truth is a perfect opponent for Kit Wilson. They're at the right level. Obafemi is not, but yet at the end, he's going to have another match against Obafemi. This time he's planning for it. I think Obafemi, already said he's an Obafeminist online. I think he shouldn't be seen as, toxic by Kit Wilson, but Wilson versus R-Truth, I think that's perfect. Hopefully this Obafemi match is just going to lead to maybe a program where we see actual matches with R-Truth against Kit Wilson. Maybe R-Truth can win some of those. Maybe Wilson can win some of those too. I was actually very happy to see that. I hope they find someone else for Obafemi, or maybe he goes to Raw. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I saw that. And these are my assorted thoughts on the February 13th, 2026 WWE Smackdown from Dallas, Texas. The go home for Valentine's Day. I don't know. Did you agree with my take? Let me know in the comments. Follow with Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Bluesky. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, and assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. And my Sami Zayn commentary, which is going to be a separate video, should be right around here somewhere, so you can click on that. Till next time, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.